CBS Sports NFL Insider. Jay, what's happening, buddy?
What's going on, guys?
How you feeling, man?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. What was your expectation? Tiki and I both thought Kansas City would win. What was your expectation going into last night?
I thought it'd be a close game. I thought it'd be relatively high scoring. I mean, straight up winners. I was thinking Kansas City. I kind of liked Oakland with 3 points. I thought it might be a 1 or a 2 point game.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, how it played out with the visiting team winning the turnover battle 3-0. You would think that they would have done a little more with it. I thought the second half, Oakland's defense was fine. I thought Kansas City got a little conservative, as they tend to do. I thought special teams would be massive. Dave Tobe does a hell of a job with that unit for Kansas City, and obviously, they had a return that probably was the difference of the game, and Derek Carr wasn't right. He dislocated that thing. He's played a couple of times with it now. There's been some wear and tear on it. It was a frigid night. I guess he seemed to be doing great with the glove when he initially had the injury in game. I was a little surprised they didn't have the glove, or at some point maybe go with the buddy tape where you tape the injured finger to the nearest index finger that's not hurt. I guess that might have screwed up his grip and how he throws the ball. But it did not look like normal Derek Carr to me, and it's hard for me to think that the pinky didn't have something to do with it.
Yeah, no, and its receivers let him down a little bit as well.
Yeah, but they drop a lot of balls anyway.
Yeah,
they lead the league in drops since Carr came into the league in 2014. No receivers have dropped more balls than Oakland. I think Jacksonville's second.
Yeah. It's Jason, I wasn't at the game, but there's a thought that pass that Amari Cooper couldn't corral hit the camera. Did it hit the camera?
I haven't seen an angle to say that it did. It was certainly odd because it looked like he was tracking it, and then he gave up on it, and then he's like, wait a minute, I still have a shot. I mean, that would be something.
I know
it
would be. It was bizarre. But I mean, the real story here is how effective Kansas City's defense is. And as we talk about them as a potential go deep in the playoffs, maybe even a Super Bowl candidate, it's going to be on that defense. Now, they lose Derek Johnson because he tore his Achilles. What do we can expect going forward from this defense with him out, because he's such a big part of what they've been doing?
I mean, one of their hallmarks has been they don't let that stuff get them down. I mean, let's face it, Jamal Charles has, 12 touches all season, and Justin Houston didn't play until, I think, week 11 or 12, and yet here they are. So they're kind of accustomed to this, and it's part of their mindset to keep going. I mean, they had Eric Berry, miss time with cancer and come back, and play the following year and play all the way through, and then play the way he's playing this year. So Derek Johnson's been there a long time. He's one of their true leaders. He's a hell of a linebacker. He's a short tackler. He keeps everybody in line. He does he's a big part of the central nervous system of that defense. It's a loss, but I don't think it derails their season or anything like that.
I don't either.
And the thing that's scary about them is my knock on them has always been, they're good enough to win 10, 11 games, but not dynamic enough to win in January. With the influx of these young receivers, return guys, they have a speed element now.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Macklin hasn't played in a long time, and he played. Obviously, he came back last night, and he'll get better down the stretch, I suppose. But even without him, they seem to have all these quick twitch guys now who can can make things happen in an instant to change things. And then you pair that with Kelsey, and they're a dangerous team. I'm not a big Alex. I mean, I like Alex Smith as a person. I like Alex Smith as a quarterback. I don't know that it's going to be very easy to win a Super Bowl with Alex Smith, but they don't beat themselves. Andy Reid doesn't ask anybody to do anything that they're not capable of. Again, the special teams is special. The defense is very, very good. And the offense, all of a sudden, has a few elements to it that we probably didn't expect at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, they got a lot going for them. Jason Canfora, CBS Sports NFL Insider. Catch him on the NFL Today. You'll catch him on Tops on Sunday with me and the crew on CBS Sports Network. Obviously, CBSSports.com. He is busy and he's piped in. All right, so Sunday night, the Cowboys and the Giants. My position, and I don't know that it was that different from the majority. I was never buying the Giants. They didn't look good against the Bears, didn't look good against the Browns, looked terrible against the Steelers, and I thut they'd get beat up in that game, and they did. Listen, I'm not going to say that they can't bounce back at home, because the Giants at home, big games historically, they're going to pack a punch, but they're just so one-dimensional, and their weaknesses are in positions where you can't afford to be weak to play deep into the season. I just don't think the Giants are that good. What do you think about them?
I thought a little bit of fool's gold there. A better team, an improved team, a more sound team than a year ago in a lot of respects, particularly defensively, but not exceptional. Even though they had that long winning streak, I didn't feel like they're better than the pack. I thought they're kind of very much of the pack of teams that are, constitute most of this league, and average teams that could go on a little bit of a run, but that I don't know that anybody fears on any given Sunday either. Losing JPP is a pretty significant blow. That's a team where I felt like once they lost the game, once the magic carpet ride ended, there could be a bit of a market correction coming their way. They had a couple of games in that stretch. You mentioned, some of the not very good teams they didn't play great against. They probably should have lost to the Eagles. Doug Peterson did some quizzical things. The Ravens had them shut down until Jimmy Smith had a concussion at halftime, and then Odell Beckham went wild in the second half with nobody really to cover him, and Harbaugh went for some weird fourth down plays and didn't take points when he could have. So they got some assists along the way, and good for them for taking them. But I would by no means, I'm not even penciling them into the playoffs. I certainly wouldn't write it with a Sharpie.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. But when
you're not going Seth Davis?
But when you look at the wild card, they are sitting fifth right now out of the teams in the NFC. The team that's in sixth is interesting because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I don't know if we knew that they would be ready, but here they are, tied kind of with the Atlanta Falcons if they lose the tiebreaker. What can we expect from them? I don't know what I feel about them yet. Gerald McCoy has a little bit of an injury, may not play this week against the Saints, and obviously need a pass rush against Drew Brees and everything else. But where are the Bucs?
They're a good team. They're solid. They've matured. They don't beat themselves the way they used to. Very slow start defensively, but I feel like Mike Smith has kind of steadied them and worked through some of the issues they had. Because the last couple of years they've just been kind of a train wreck defensively. Doug Martin coming back from injury has given them a boost for sure, and Jameis Winston is already a very, very good quarterback. Look at Jameis Winston in the red zone. It's pretty special. This Cam Brate is a beast in the red zone. Mike Evans is a beast in the red zone. And they've gotten to be a better second-half team, and that's kind of what you have to do. You're a young team. You start being competitive, then you're finding ways to lose games late, and now, as you evolve and mature, you win more of those games. I thought last week was, San Diego's not great, but going all the way out there, and San Diego kind of still making their last stand for their season, and San Diego doing some things early in that game that made you think it was going to be a boat race, and Tampa won the second half. Look, I thought they could be a wild card team. At this point, I'd say they might win that division. I don't think it's remotely out of the question that they finish ahead of Atlanta. I know the schedule benefits Atlanta a little bit, but Tampa's a dangerous team.
They are. They are. I think you're right, though, about the schedule. I got it right in front of me, too, just for those who were curious. So the Falcons, San Francisco, at the Rams, San Francisco, at Carolina, New Orleans, and the Tampa Bay Bucks, obviously the Saints, at Dallas, at New Orleans, and Carolina. So, interesting. 32 minutes past the hour. Not a ton of time, but we're talking to Jason La Canfora, CBS Sports NFL Insider. Jay, the last thing we want to do is bore our audience to tears further with Jeff Fisher stuff. No, good God. So we're all so tired of hearing about Jeff Fisher. But this report after the extension that the relationship with Les Snead is there's a quote, toxic, whatever that means. Is there a chance that even with the 2-year extension that's eventually rescinded or ignored? Is this maybe going to take a different twist?
I'll go back to what I reported last week when this all kind of came out, which was that I would not mistake, one guaranteed year plus an option as a mandate that this will be the person steering them, deep into the future. There's still a lot of questions being asked of a lot of people there. Yeah, there's been some turmoil there. They haven't always been on the same page. That's an organization where you hear, oh, well, this guy wanted that guy, and this guy wanted this guy, and that pick is on Les, but no, this pick is on Fish, and that's not usually emblematic of a team that's winning a lot of games. I don't know that Les Snead in particular is going to be back there even, for 2017. I have a hard time thinking that if they stay on the trajectory they're on, that nothing changes. Jeff Fisher makes a whole lot more money than the GM. Jeff Fisher has a longer, more distinguished resume than the GM. Something's going to have to give there. I've heard they're flirting with the idea of bringing in a football czar type, maybe one of these experienced former coaches to try to get them on a steadier path. But I certainly don't think it's just going to be kumbaya, steady as she goes when that franchise gets to January. But all things being equal, I think Jeff Fisher's probably back. But he'll be fighting for his job next year. I mean, he's not going to go into next year with this bully pulpit mandate. He's going to have to win some games to keep his job.
I think we've said that before, though, Jason.
It keeps hanging around.
I know.
Hanging around.
I'm sure we probably have. But, I mean, look, he was always going to see out that 5-year deal. I mean, the whole goal of that was just be a bridge to get me from St. Louis to L.A. And so he did that, I guess.
You've laid that out well over the years. I think you've been spot on with that. Jay, I'll see you Sunday morning. Thanks, pal.